A massive fire erupts in displaced camp in Hodeidah and causes serious damage. Houthi militia targets oil infrastructure to exploit the government. Like in Afghanistan and Iran, Houthi tightens restrictions on women in the areas under their control. Good evening. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. I'm Abir Ali and you're watching the English news. Displaced people are exposed to many risks and threats and put them in danger during their displacement. They face great catastrophes from time to time. Recently, a fire has broke out and devoured the houses in Atta camp, east of Al-Khawkha. This report has more.
In displacement camps, disasters and tragedies continue against the displaced, who are helpless because of the fires raging in them. At a camp in Al-Khawkha district, where the displaced are waking up to a new catastrophe. The fire consumed 3 houses built of straw and palm trunks in France. The fire destroyed all the food and shelter inside, so that the afflicted families are in dire need of a helping hand to help them with a new shelter.
This is the 6th time a fire has broken out here in Al-Ata camp. We've warned several times from building materials they use in this area, as heavy winds storm the area from time to time and the weather is hot, in addition to the social habits of the cooking quality. I warn all the organizations that come here in the area and use such low quality of building materials from doing this, as it leads to great disasters later. Anyone who allows this to happen will be held accountable. We need to protect the displaced people and the Yemeni citizens from these accidents that threaten their lives and put them in danger.
Approximately 85 families from the city of Hodeidah and its countryside, who were displaced and forced to leave their homes because of the war, live in this camp. The homeless here are burning with the fire of war and the tragedy of displacement. Why they live in dwellings that are no longer acceptable for habitation? Because of the materials they are built from, which allow fires to occur in them, and that doubles the level of their tragedy.
The fire was caused by an electrical fault. We call on the authorities to help us and compensate the displaced families who were affected by the fire and lost their shelter. Where are they supposed to live now? They are staying in the open air since the fire broke out, with no shelter or protection.
The displacement camps in Al-Khawkha have witnessed the recurrence of such incidents during this year and the past years. So the question remains here, for how long will the displaced people search for a safe house as an alternative housing unit for these camps in order to reduce these disasters that the simple displaced person pays for?
An American newspaper said that the truce gave the Houthis an opportunity to further consolidate their power and threaten international shipping lanes. A former member of the United Nations panel of experts said that he wants to see an end of the war in Yemen, which is often described as the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Houthi rebels strike again with stronger and smarter cruelty. Their intent to harm the humanitarian organizations in their territory is an alarming sign to officialize them as a terror group. Moreover, their demand for larger share of oil revenues keep increasing. This report has more on this.
Houthi rebels strike again with stronger and smarter cruelty. Their intent to harm the humanitarian organizations in their territory is an alarming sign to officialize them as a terror group. The internationally recognized government of Yemen has designated Houthi rebels as a terrorist organization. In an unprecedented move, the National Defense Council released its official statement following drone strikes claimed by the Sana'a-based rebels on Al-Dabba port. The operations, launched by Houthi rebels between October 15 to October 21, were the first strikes since the UN brokered truce expired on October 2nd. As the truce expired, a Houthi military spokesman and a Houthi delegate published statements threatening foreign oil companies and vessels operating in Yemen. The threats were in line with Houthi demands for a larger share of oil revenue as part of failed negotiations with UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg to extend the 6-month-long ceasefire. The accuracy and velocity of the latest drone strikes by the Houthis are an indication of increasing capabilities, including intelligence resources. This should not come as a surprise following months of recruitment and deployment of troops and weapons by Houthis, who organized a dozen of military parades throughout northern Yemen during the period of the UN brokered truce. The recent choice of targets also indicates a clear shift in strategy since the truce expired. Prior to the start of the truce in April 2022, Houthis focused on cross-border strikes against targets in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The shift to oil facilities within Yemen fits the Houthi narrative, looting Yemen's oil. Demands by Houthis for a larger share of oil revenues appears to extend from decreasing sources of income this year. The UN Donors Conference in March 2022 only delivered $1.3 billion from the requested $4.2 billion. This has affected humanitarian operations across Houthi-held territory. It was a major blow from the rebels who profit from the entire cycle, from collecting taxes at the port to the control of ground transport and warehousing, to the local civil society organizations in charge of distribution of aid, and now to the banks and foreign exchange shops. The decrease in the flow of aid has affected the entire cycle.
The European Union affirmed that it would double its effort to resume and expand the humanitarian truce. The head of the European Union mission to Yemen said the efforts to extend the truce were difficult, especially in light of Houthi intransigence and preconditions. The Ministry of Human Rights condemned the Houthi militia use of civilians in Murais district in Al-Bada governorate as human shields. The ministry said that the Houthi militia forced the residents to install and erect tents on the main lane road, which is a military contact area. This came to use the civilians' population as human shields in these dangerous operations, which is the militia would move to carry out military actions to attack the government forces. According to human rights activists, the Iran-backed Houthis, who have governed a swath of Yemen since capturing the capital Sana'a in 2014, have increased travel restrictions on women in the last 8 months. The following report has more details.
The Houthi de facto authorities continue to reinforce its mahram recruitment, which prohibits women from traveling across governorates under Houthi control or to other parts of Yemen without a male guardian or evidence of their written agreement. Residents and activists claim that the Iran-backed Houthis have increased travel restrictions on women in the last 8 months. Yemeni society, although very conservative, has long allowed for individual liberties. However, this is changing under the Houthi movement, which was created with the goal of establishing a theocracy. The Houthis have tightened restrictions on women traveling without a mahram or male relative even within the nation. Earlier this year, Houthi policewomen who call themselves Zainabiyat arrested scores of women for shopping without a male guardian in the northern city of Sada, the movement's heartland. The Iran-backed Houthis banned women from shopping without a mahram, asked women to adhere to Islamic dress codes, and limited women's shopping options in the city. To enforce the restrictions, scores of all-female morality police officers were observed looking for offenders in Sada back in Ramadan, when streets were packed with shoppers. Dozens of unescorted women were temporarily held by Houthi police. The Houthis have detained scores of women for breaking Islamic dress regulations, prohibited wedding music, and arrested singers and artists who defied the ban. Women are not permitted to go alone after dark in Sada or certain small towns, even in medical crisis. During the summer, the Houthis closed swimming pools, fitness centers, and other enterprises catering primarily to women. The campaign is not limited to civilians following oppressive limitations on Yemeni female relief workers. The UN Refugee Agency accused authorities in northern Yemen. According to the UNHCR official, they imposed restrictions hamper access to the female half of communities. Following 7 years of horrific fighting, the problem has hindered humanitarian relief operations for over 24 million people in need of assistance.
The King Salman Humanitarian Aid signed a joint cooperation agreement with the World Food Programme to meet basic food needs. The agreement will be benefiting 524,000 people with a total value of $20 million, and it was signed by the representative of the program. The representative of the World Food Programme in Yemen explained that the support provided by the King Salman Center contributed to sparing the Yemeni people the danger of famine. The Joint Military and Security Committee visited the 22nd Mechanic Brigade in Taiz Governorate. The military team listened to a detailed review about the conditions of the fighters and the most prominent challenges facing them. The committee praised the heroic sacrifices of the army personnel in confronting the Houthi project. Coming next in the news. The second book fair opens in Ma'rib with outstanding presence of the local authority and dignitaries.
ناس ندي ماء من الغل والغلة بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء ورجعنا. ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يجي لنا ظهر لأنه زحمة ما حد يخلي الجهل يغرف وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قدرك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا ما نستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا إلا يعني بأيام معدودة.
كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدر لأنه ما في معيار الزرع.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 هي معها استهلاك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة، عاملة كل شغلك على الماء.
Welcome back. The city of Ma'rib witnessed the opening of the second Ma'rib Book Fair, which witnessed a wide presence of journalists and writers. The exhibition also included about 30,000 titles of various books, while a special window was dedicated to the great writer of Yemen, the late Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Muqalih. This report has more.
The second Ma'rib Book Fair, which was held under the title Ma'rib Speaks in honor of the late poet and writer of Yemen, Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Muqalih, witnessed a wide turnout of readers, intellectuals, journalists, and writers. More than 30,000 works spanning fiction, non-fiction, poetry, and prose were assembled in this open hall. These publications explore a wide range of genres including psychology, sociology, philosophy, medicine, engineering, religion, law, and a host of other disciplines.
I visited the book fair today to survey the books and explore the cultural diversity and the works, seeing as some of these books are absent from public libraries. This is also a great opportunity for youth to engage in reading. Many young people have turned to the digital landscape these days, so reading isn't a priority for them. I hope more youth can start reading again.
With each passing year, fresh pages are turned, illuminating the city in a new light. Ma'rib has upheld its citizens' rights to education, wealth, and a variety of youth and cultural activities, despite the military pressures on the city's outskirts. All spectrums of community institutions are present to participate throughout the 10 days in this exhibition, including libraries and media institutions. This book fair strives to improve the cultural, literary, and intellectual landscape by reminding visitors of the value of reading and science and enlightening minds against clerical beliefs.
This is the second fair Maghreb has hosted. The turnout this year reaffirms the visitors' desire to learn as they queued since the morning to participate.
Many academics believe that organizing such informative exhibitions could alter how society behaves and raise the worth of society's knowledge. The exhibition features a variety of books, some of which cover love, other politics, sociology, and culture, as well as war and feminism.
China has affirmed its willingness to provide the necessary support to improve the investment in Aden. The chargé d'affaires of the Chinese embassy said during his meeting with the head of the Free Zone Authority in Aden that his country is fully prepared to provide continuous cooperation to the Free Zone. This came to improve services in the oil port and container port and providing the necessary security services. The central bank directed to stop dealing with 7 local exchange companies in an attempt to stop the deterioration of the value of rial. The Money Changers Association circulated the circular to stop banking dealing with 7 companies. This comes after the significant decline in the national currency in recent days, after months of semi-stability as the exchange rate declined. Poultry producers and sellers in Sana'a have complained about the increase in levies imposed by Houthi militia. Commercial sources said that the Houthi militia imposed levies on poultry producers and sellers and threatened those who refused with imprisonment, arrest, and confiscation of their goods. Poultry producers and sellers warned of the collapse of the sector due to the continuous levies, calling for its cessation and the end to those practices. An oil ship arrived at Aden Port Container Terminal with about 772 containers on board to meet the needs of the local market for various commodities. It's the 6th of its kind that docks at the container terminal during the current year, which reflects the company's satisfaction with the services provided at the terminal. Hadramaut, with its hunting seasons, has immortal stories and inherited customs that carry with it many rituals. This report has more on this.
The fisherman Saeed Basioud is one of the most famous Yemeni fishermen in the city of Al-Shahr in Hadramaut Governorate. He spent all his life years for the love of the sea and catching its bounty. Many years were enough to make Saeed aware and anticipate all the fishing seasons, the most famous and prominent of which is the season of sardines, and it is known locally here in the city of Al-Shahr as the season of the feast.
السردين يبدأ من شهر 10.
Sardine season starts from October till February. We classify this season as a feast as we enjoy abundance of sardines and fish in general.
Like other skilled fishermen, his footsteps led him towards the coast of Al-Shahr, and here he settled his boat, accompanied by others, which are heading to the practice of fishing, and as soon as he gets what he wants, he throws the special fishing net.
لازم تكون الساعة 8 تكون موجود العيد.
Fishermen come here early by 8 a.m. as the price at this time is high. It amounts to 40,000 rials. After 11 a.m., the price decreases to 10,000 rials.
The feast in the city of Al-Shahr is considered a season for sardine fishing, which usually coincides with the beginning of the winter season every year and lasts for about 4 months, as large amounts of sardines are stranded on the skirts of the coastal cities of Hadramaut to represent a great opportunity for fishermen and a source of abundant income for them. Through these seasons, the markets witness a great boom and a wide turnout that reflects a significant decrease in the prices of these fish, which makes them accessible to everyone without exception.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. A massive fire erupts in displaced camp in Hodeidah and causes serious damage. Houthi militia targets oil infrastructure to exploit the government. Like in Afghanistan and Iran, Houthis tighten restrictions on women in the areas under their control. This is the end of the news. It was Abir Ali, and thank you for watching.